Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you on here, and I hope you guys can try these mandalas and have a fun time doing it. So before we get started on the mandala design, I'm going to explain our tools. So the tools I use are color-coded, so they have a color on the top of the tools. When you buy them off of Temu or Amazon, they usually just come clear. So first off, for the twirly tools, I do not use the green twirly for any of my tutorials, so you can set this one aside. As for the rods, the largest two rods, I, again, also do not use for any of my tutorials, but if you're doing like a bigger project on your own time, then of course you can use these. So now to help you understand what I have color-coded, you can lay them out biggest to smallest. The biggest one, which is the green one, next size down, we have it marked as the blue stick. And then next size down after the blue is the white stick. After the white stick, it's the yellow stick. And then we have the pink stick. And then last but not least, trying to pick them up, is the black stick. And then of course we have the twirlies. These are self-explanatory. They are color-coded already. You can color code them yourself. We use just nail polish on the tops of the tools. We can get started with the design now. For today's class, this is the color palette we're going to be using. Paint color number 1, we're going to use Craft Smart White. Paint color number 2 is Craft Smart Multi-Surface Red. Paint color number 3 is Craft Smart Green. Paint color number 4 is Deco Art Americana Honey Brown. Paint color number 5 is Deco Art Americana Burnt Sierra. And paint color 6 is Craft Smart Multi-Surface Radiant Gold. So before we get started on the charcuterie board, we're gonna practice some designs and just practicing making those gingerbread men. So I'm using a separate sheet of paper, but you guys can use the placemat and just open up to a paint color that will be visible on your sheet of paper. So we are going to start off with just the regular mandala designs. We're going to start off with the pink stick and the pink stylus. You're going to take the pink stick and dip it into the paint. And you don't want to dip just the edge like this, but you want to over dip just a bit like this. Then you're going to place a dot on your sheet of paper. Then you'll take the pink stylus, the smaller end, and drag that paint down to kind of make a teardrop. What I like to do is I usually do one drag straight down and then kind of go over on the sides to kind of smooth out the edges so that it's a nice flush teardrop. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next technique. We're still going to use the same tools. Again, starting with the pink stick, you're going to dip into the paint and place a dot. Then you're going to set the pink stick aside and take the pink stylus, the bigger end, dip it into the paint and place a dot above it, kind of like a snowman with a very small head. Then you'll switch to the smaller end of the pink stylus, dip into the paint again, and then without re-dipping, you're going to dot halfway around our big dot. Then you're going to dip again, start at the top, and go around the other half. And this technique slash design is called walking the dots. So that's what I will refer to it as when we start painting. Moving on to the next technique, we're gonna take the white stylus. We're gonna use the bigger end. So for this, make sure you get a lot of paint on your tool. I like to swirl it around in my paint to make sure I get a good amount on there. Make sure that the whole ball is covered and even more. Then you're going to place it on your sheet of paper and slowly drag. And then to make it longer, just keep retracing it to kind of extend your drag. You can either do it like that, one stroke, and then keep retracing it, or what I like to do, kind of little strokes like this, but it still gets you to the same endpoint. So using this technique, we're going to practice making what I like to call seashells. And we're gonna do a lot of these on the charcuterie board, so make sure you got it pretty good so that you feel comfortable doing these. We're gonna use the white stylus and the pink stylus. You're gonna start with the white stylus, the bigger end. You're going to dip it into the paint and you're going to make one drag just straight down. Then you're going to switch to the smaller end and starting a tad bit lower than this first one we did, you're going to do another drag on each side. Like that. And then just kind of continuing, going a little lower than that one, doing another one on each side. And then just using the pink stylus to get nice small ones at the very end. So what you want to make sure that you're practicing with this is trying to get your swishes as close to each other without them touching. Next, we're going to practice how to make the gingerbread men. We're going to use the white stick and the blue stylus. We're going to take the white stick first, and you're going to place a dot. This is the head of the gingerbread man. Then you're going to take the blue stylus, the bigger end, and almost like making a straight line right underneath the head, you're just going to make two arms kind of like that, starting outside, going in. On the other side, outside, going in towards the head.
Sorry, did you say bigger end or smaller end?
Bigger end.
Okay.
Then you're going to start a bit lower, like about this far. Not as far out as the arm went, but maybe kind of where the head is. And then you're going to pull it up towards the head, maybe with a slight curve to kind of give your gingerbread man some shape. Curves, yeah. And just do that on both sides for his legs, and then kind of connect them towards the center and just fill in the rest of his body with the paint. And then the candy canes are also super simple. Obviously we're going to be doing this in white, but I'm using dark brown just so that you can see on my sheet of paper. It's just a curve up and then just make it nice far down. I like to dip again and start at the bottom so that the bottom is nicely curved too, so it's not pointy at the bottom. Just a little candy cane.
Make it look so easy. Nothing to it.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get started on the charcuterie board. We're gonna place our center dot. We're gonna use the blue stick, and we're gonna use paint color 5. And you really want to try to get this first dot right in the middle of this cross X in the middle of your board.
Which color wand do we use? The blue one?
The blue stick, yes. Moving on, we're going to use the pink stylus, the bigger end, and we're going to use paint color 2. And you are going to put a dot on those 4 lines that intersected at the middle. So 4 dots like this.
Is the pink the same on both sides?
No,
Oh, do we do the larger one?
the larger end.
Number 2.
4 dots, and then in between each of those dots, we're going to place another one in the middle, like this.
Bigger.
Then for the next step, you're going to use the same tool, the pink stylus, but we're going to use a smaller end. And we're going to take paint color 3 and put a dot in between each of those red dots.
Is that the other end?
Yes. Next step, we're going to use the pink stylus, bigger end, and we're going to use paint color 1. And we are putting these dots above the gaps of our previous row, or in other words, in between the guide mark lines. So not on the lines, but in between the lines. So you should end up with 16 of these white dots. Next step, we're going to use the pink stylus again, the bigger end with paint color 5. And we're going to place these dots on the lines, but you're going to do every other line. So you should end up with 8 of these dots.
And what color paint again? 5?
5. Then you're going to use the same tool, the pink stylus bigger end. You're going to take paint color 4, and you're going to put a dot in between on the rest of the lines.
4 big end?
Yes,
Big end.
big end of the pink stylus with paint color 4.
Thanks.
Next up, we're going to take the blue stylus, the bigger end with paint color 2, and we're putting these dots in between the lines.
Every line, right? In between every line?
Yes. So if your design has little gaps in between your red dots like I do, I'm going to use the yellow stylus to make tiny little lines in between those red dots. If you don't have enough space in between that, don't worry about it. You can skip this step.
You said which color? Stylus?
Paint color 1
Oh,
with
pink.
the orange
Oh, orange.
or yellow
Oh.
stylus.
Okay,
Yep.
and which,
The smaller end. Smaller end almost looks more ovalish.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the white.
Yes. Next up, we're gonna take the pink stick with paint color 3, and we're gonna place these dots on every other line. Next up, we're gonna take the pink stylus with paint color 6. We're going to use the bigger end first, and we're gonna put a dot right above our green ones. Then you'll switch to the smaller end, dip in the paint, and do one drag on each side.
that was paint color 4?
6.
6?
And you say you start on what's
The bigger end for the dot,
Uh-huh.
and then the smaller end for the 2 drags.
Okay.
Next up, we're gonna take the white stylus with paint color 4. With the bigger end, we're going to place 3 dots like this. Then you'll switch to the smaller end, and once again, do a drag on each side. Next step, we're gonna use the white stylus. And we're gonna use paint colors 1 and 2. We're gonna start with the bigger end of the white stylus with paint color 1. And you're going to start a bit higher than where these end. So maybe like right here. Then you're going to do a straight drag down. Then you'll switch to the smaller end, dip in paint color 2, and do a smaller drag on each side. And then you'll wipe and go back to paint color 1. You can either use the smaller end of the white, or you can go even smaller to make sure you get it nice and tight. You can do the pink stylus smaller end for one more tiny little drag on each side, like that. Okay, next step, we're gonna take the pink stick with paint color 5, and we're just gonna put a dot above the seashells that we did. Next step, we're gonna take the pink stylus and we're gonna use paint color 1. We're gonna start with the bigger end. You're gonna place a dot above, then switch to the smaller end and walk the dots around. Next up, we're gonna take the pink stylus with paint color 3, using the bigger end for that first dot, but you're not gonna switch to the smaller end, you're just gonna re-dip the bigger end and go around with the bigger end.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Pink stylus, bigger end with paint color 3. Bigger end for the first dot, then just re-dip and go around with the bigger end. We're not switching to the smaller end.
Okay.
Next up, we're gonna take the white stylus with paint color 2, using the bigger end for the first dot and switching to the smaller end to go around. Next up, we're gonna use the blue stylus and the white stylus. And we're gonna use paint color 4. You're gonna use the blue stylus bigger end for the first dot, and then the white stylus bigger end to go around. Next step, we're gonna take the black stick and the blue stylus. And we're gonna do another round of walking the dots with paint color 4. Gonna use the black stick as the first dot, and then the blue stylus, the bigger end, to go around.
Yeah. The black stick is for what? Yeah, same color.
The black stick is for this big dot, and then the blue stylus is to go around.
The bigger end of the blue stylus?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, this is still number 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next step, we are going to use the pink stick and the pink stylus. And we're gonna use paint colors 1, 2, and 3.
Are you doing seashells now?
Yes. Because we're doing seashells right now, it's gonna be slightly different than these that we did here, because this first middle one is going to be kind of almost like a teardrop. It's not just a straight down, it's kind of a teardrop. So we're gonna use the pink stick and the pink stylus, and we're gonna use paint color 2. So you're gonna take the pink stick and place a dot almost on the same level as these walking the dots that we did. So I actually placed mine a little too high. So try to make them about the same height. Then you'll take the pink stylus and drag the paint down.
Fatter end or smaller end?
I like to use the smaller end because it just gives me a more precise line. And then you'll take the pink stylus bigger end with paint color 3. Starting slightly lower, do a drag on each side, and then switch back to the smaller end, and you're going to do a white one, and then another little red one. Next step, we're gonna take the blue stylus with paint color 6. And we are going to, you're gonna start right below these seashells that we did and just kind of walk the dots straight down like that. Okay, next step, we're gonna use the yellow stick with paint color 1. And we're gonna put these dots above the walking the dots that we did and these seashells. So if one of your either walking the dots or your seashells was a little bit lower, you can kind of put the dot a bit higher so it's all relatively the same, you know, so it's not like going up and down zigzag. Next up, we're gonna take the white stylus with paint color 2, and we're going to walk the dots around these white dots that we placed. So bigger end for that first dot, and then switch to the smaller end to go around. Next up, we're going to use the white stylus again with paint color 3. You're going to use the bigger end for that first dot and to go around, so we're not switching to the smaller end. Next up, we're going to take the blue stylus with paint color 6, using the bigger end the whole time. We're going to do another round of walking the dots. So bigger end for the first dot and bigger end to go around.
No. Yeah.
Next up, we're gonna use the black stick and the blue stylus with paint color 5. And we're gonna do another round of walking the dots using the black stick as that first dot, and then blue stylus, bigger end, to go around.
And number 5, you said the
Mm-hmm.
Was it the big end of the blue?
Yes.
Okay.
Next step, we're gonna use the blue stylus and the pink stylus. And we're gonna use paint colors 1 and 2. And we're gonna make some seashells, but it is our last round of seashells. These are the final seashells. We're gonna start with the blue stylus, bigger end, and paint color 1. Starting just slightly above our last walking the dots. Straight drag down, then you'll switch to the other end, and then with the red paint, do another drag, and then you'll take the pink stylus, the smaller end, and then do a white one and another red one. Okay, so now that we are finished with the design of the charcuterie board, we're gonna move on to the border, which is just gingerbread men and candy canes like this. So we're gonna start with the gingerbread men. We're gonna use paint color 4 and the white stick and the white stylus. You're going to, for their head, you're going to put it, I think maybe about that far from the black line, because we want their legs to be just on the inside of that black line, like that. Okay, so their feet just barely beyond that black. So you'll put a head, and then with the stylus, you're going to draw their arms.
This is color 4.
Color 4, yes. And then their legs. And then when it comes to spacing the gingerbread men, I like to do about 2 fingers, like approximately a little gap, about that much in between each gingerbread man. And just do that all the way around.
Which one did you do for the head?
The white stick.
And then number 4.
Yes. And then once you guys have finished the gingerbread men, you can move on to the candy canes, just using the blue stylus bigger end with paint color 1. And you can slant them in whichever way you want. You can make them face in whichever direction. So just one in between each gingerbread man. So we're gonna go to our main design right now and just do some overlapping real quick. If you're not done with your gingerbread men or your candy canes, that's fine. You can come back to it right after this, because we're gonna give you like 5 minutes, because we're gonna need the paint to dry anyways, and everyone needs to get up and stretch. So we're just gonna overlap real quick. We're gonna use the black stick and the white stylus, and we're gonna use colors 2 and 6. We're gonna start with the white stylus, bigger end, and paint color 2. And we're gonna go to these green dots over here, and we're going to overlap them, but not right in the middle of the dot, kind of facing towards the center of the design.
You said the little or the big?
Big end.
Big end.
We think of the red stylus, number 2.
Oh, it's
Yeah, you can Ireland using red and green.
Next, we're gonna use the white stylus again, but we're gonna use paint color 6. And we're going to overlap these dots here, once again, kind of facing towards the center of the design.
With the big end?
Yes. And then the last overlapping, we're gonna use the black stick with paint color 2. And we're gonna overlap these white dots, once again, kind of facing towards the center of the design. So if you know it's 100% dry, then you can do it today. If not, you can take the black paint and your palette home to do it at home. For the gingerbread men, you're just gonna use the red, white, and green paints. And with the smaller end, just make little dots down their body. Like that. And then with the black paint, you're gonna give them some eyes and an itty bitty little smile. For the smile, yes, for the smile, you might want to use the yellow one, the smaller end. And then for the candy canes, I'm gonna use the pink stylus smaller end. And you want to start from the outside of the candy cane. So you don't want to go in this way. You want to start on this side and curve kind of towards this way. So starting on the outside, inwards, and just kind of do that along the candy cane. Like that. Also, I did just realize that we still haven't done these dots here in between. So while we do that, we might actually have time for the candy canes and the gingerbread men to dry all the way. So we can do that. You can do that, go around, and then after you can see if your candy canes are dry. Yes, for the green and red dots, I'm using the white stylus bigger end. And just, you're gonna alternate colors, just red and green. Once you guys have finished adding the little details to the candy canes and the gingerbread men, you guys are all finished with your charcuterie board. This was a very long class, so you guys made it. So thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy your new charcuterie board.
Thank you.
Alternate colors, just red and green.